I'm right now at Phoenix City Hall, and I'm doing this peaceful protest against Biden administration for conveniently ignoring the genocide of Muslim kids by both Israel and India. And I've been coming here very often trying to um, wake up the Biden administration, wake up their conscience, or at least remind them of their constitutional duties to abide by the law of the US Charter that does not condone to war crimes or human rights violations. But unfortunately, what happened in the last 48 hours in Palestine is showing and is a proof that Biden is least bothered with the bloodbath that happened in the last 48 hours in Gaza, orchestrated by Israeli regime. They bombed an entire apartment building because they wanted to get one person. And guess what the collateral damage was? The collateral damage was 15 little children. Yes, 15 little children. And what's the response of the Biden administration? Oh, Israel has the right of self-defense. What do you mean self-defense? Self-defense against what? Against 15 children who would have been living today if Israel had not bombed them 48 hours ago. What happened to the report of war crimes in the International Criminal Court that is being chartered against Israel? Who covered up the dirty butt of Israel, if not the Biden administration? Biden is obsessed with Islamophobia. He got votes on the basis of the fact that he was going to fight against Islamophobia. But today, his regime is orchestrating war crimes, empowering human rights violations, and facilitating a Muslim genocide, not just in Palestine, not just in Gaza, but also in India and Kashmir. Biden has given 100% support to the Modi administration, to the RSS extremists who want everybody to convert to Hinduism in India and Kashmir, and to Israel that are doing mass displacements of Palestinians against the UN Charter, that are committing war crimes, that are detaining journalists. And don't tell me that I am committing anti-Semitism because I love Moses. I'm a Muslim, and my faith cannot be complete till I love Moses, peace be upon him. If I do not love Moses, peace be upon him, I'm not a Muslim. So I'm not here committing anti-Semitism. I'm here to address the simple notion of human rights violations that are being committed with complete immunity by the Biden administration. 15 children were killed 48 hours ago by Israel in Palestine, in Gaza. Not even an eyebrow was raised by the Biden administration. No official declaration of human rights violations, no official declaration of war crimes. Why? Why? Why is Biden on a hunt for Muslim children in Palestine, Gaza, in Kashmir, in India? Is it the same Biden who got votes in 2020 on the basis of human rights, who said Everybody Lives Matters, who said, Inshallah, in his speeches, who tried to woo the Muslim caucus and the global Muslim leadership that yes, he stands for friendship, yes, he condones to fraternity, yes, he will fight against Islamophobia that was being orchestrated by the Trump administration that wanted to place a Muslim ban. Is this the same Biden administration that is right now standing by the manslaughter of 15 children in Palestine and Gaza? Tell me something. Is this written in Torah? Is this declared by Moses, peace be upon him, that you should bomb children? No. Moses, peace be upon him, stood for love. This is a war crime that has been declared to be done in the name of religion. But then guess what? Guess what? ISIS commits terrorism and justifies that terrorism in the name of religion too. But will you condone to the war crimes and the human rights violations and the terrorism of ISIS? No. So, if terrorism by ISIS, if terrorism by Al-Qaeda is unconstitutional, inhumane, then so is the terrorism committed by the Israeli administration against the Palestinian children 48 hours ago. So is the terrorism of the RSS, corrupt, fanatic, extremist organization that is trying to lynch Muslims alive in India, stripping the right of education from the Muslim girls, not letting them go to school if they wear hijab, forcing to close all Muslim schools, and imposing a brutal siege on millions and millions of Kashmiris. Tell me, how can the US Constitution condone to such war crimes and human rights violations? No, it does not condone. It is written in the US Constitution that the US government cannot stand by such acts of genocide happening right now in Palestine, in Gaza, in India, in Kashmir. What has the Biden administration done to decelerate the conflicts? Nothing. Israel just bombed the two-state solution 48 hours ago. How can you expect peace to transpire if Israel is on a killing spree? If it refuses to abide by the UN International Charter of Conduct and the resolutions that have been processed to mitigate peace in the region. I'm a mother. I'm a doctor. I save lives. It takes me hours to save one life. I cannot even imagine the condition of the mothers of those 15 children who were assassinated in cold-blooded murder by an apartheid regime of Israel. Just like the Ukrainian lives matter, just like the lives of the children of Ukraine matter, and they have every right to see the next day, the next 50, 60, 70 years, and to be able to live their whole life without being killed in war. So is the right of the children of Gaza, so is the right of the children of Kashmir, of India. Biden is on a hunt for the Muslim kids in Gaza, Palestine, India, Kashmir. Proof is the manslaughter, the assassination, the bombing of 15 children. Imagine if these 15 children were white, non-Muslim, Caucasians. Imagine the horror that would have been orchestrated right now in the United Nations Security Council. But because they are Muslims, because they are not white, because they are not Caucasians, because they do not belong to the cult of white supremacy, their lives do not matter. Am I right? Tell me if I'm right. What does your conscience say? Do you have a conscience? Do you have a heart? Do you believe in humanity? How can you glorify terrorism as an act of self-defense when it is killing little children indiscriminately? Those children had books in their hands. They were not holding weapons. They were not holding bombs. They were not planting IEDs. They were holding books. There was this girl who wanted to be a dentist. There was this boy who was the only son of his mother, who was in high school. There were these little cute little kids who were living in that apartment complex, who had nothing to do with terrorism, who were not accomplices, who were not part of a gang, who did not deserve to be killed, assassinated in cold-blooded murder. I request my brothers and sisters who are Jews, please read Torah, and I will read it with you. Moses, peace be upon him, is most respectful for me, and he does not condone to genocide. He does not condone to hate. He does not condone to manslaughter of little babies and children. This is not what Judaism preaches. This is not what the Charter of Moses, peace be upon him, is. This is another cult religion like that of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, that believes in a religion of its own, that does not even bat an eyelid before pushing the trigger and shooting children. We have one world. We have one earth. There are 1 billion Muslims. There are millions of Jews. There are billions of Christians. We have to share this world together. The God you believe in, we believe in the same God. We believe in Allah, you believe in one God. And that God preaches, teaches harmony, love, coexistence, tolerance. But what happened 48 hours ago was not coexistence, was not tolerance, was not harmony, was not love. Israel committed anti-Semitism 48 hours ago, bombed the two-state solution, and Biden will let him get away with it, the PM of Israel. Biden will let him get away with it. Because Biden is a hypocrite, because Biden is on a hunt for the blood of Muslim children, because Biden endorses white supremacy cowardly, because Biden is a liar, because Biden has empowered, facilitated Muslim genocide since day one of his presidency, not just in Palestine and Gaza, but also in India and Kashmir. Give me one action that the Biden administration has taken to try to decelerate war and conflict, to try to confront the war crimes of the regimes who are currently stationed in India and Israel. Every attempt by the United Nations Security Council and the United Nations General Assembly has been vetoed by the US against Israel and now against India. Every attempt. So when I tell you that our president in US condones to Islamophobia, I have proof behind it. I have objective evidence of Biden's Islamophobia. And my proof is in the lives of those 15 children who were taken away 48 hours ago in Gaza, Palestine, by a regime that is 100% sponsored, funded, armed by the Biden administration. Does the US Constitution ask its presidents to glorify terrorism as self-defense? Is it written in the US Constitution that yes, you can kill little children indiscriminately if you want to get hold and nab one guy? What are the rules of engagement? Is this the law of the jungle? Is US declared as a state of jungle where the Biden's law is superior to the US Constitution? Convince me that it's not the law of the jungle. Because what happened 48 hours ago is a proof that no, we have over here not the US Constitution, but what we have over here is Biden's law. What we have over here is tyranny. What we have over here is dictatorship. What we have over here is communism. The communism that dictates its own law for a few elite against the interests of millions of American people. The communism that doesn't give a damn about the International Charter of Conduct, about the international rights, and the United Nations resolutions. Today is a very special day for all 1 billion Muslims of the world. Today is Ashura. For all of you who don't know what Ashura is the day when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his grandson, sacrificed his life and the lives of his children. His 6-month-old baby was brutally massacred because he did not bow before evil, tyranny, dictatorship. And when the Israel regime committed this heinous war crime, it was the night, it was the day when Hussein was valiantly fighting against oppression, persecution, against lawlessness, against war crimes, against human rights violations. So what a perfect occasion did the Israeli regime pick to slaughter, to massacre 15 children 48 hours ago, while every Muslim was grieving about the sacrifice of Muhammad, peace be upon him's grandson. Israel chooses to convert all of Gaza into Karbala. Karbala is the land where this fight took place. It's in Iraq. And to this date, every Muslim commemorates this biggest act of heroism against oppression, against persecution. But look at what Israel does on such a day. Israel chooses to make Gaza the Karbala of 2022. There was a Karbala 1400 years ago, and today, 2022, Israel converts Gaza into Karbala. Unfortunately, Biden administration has been standing by the side of Israelis since day one. They have funded, armed, and internationally, diplomatically supported this genocide without even blinking once, calling it self-defense. Prove it to me that it is self-defense. It is not self-defense, it is terrorism. Israel committed terrorism against children, committed a genocide. And Biden is glorifying it as an act of self-defense. Against who? Against those 15 children, against those 100 women, against those 300 elderly, including elderly people, including elderly, children, women, just to be able to get one guy. If this act happened in Ukraine, how would the American people react? While the lives of the Ukrainian children matter, not because they're white and European and Caucasian, but because they're children. So their lives matter. In the same way, the lives of the children of Gaza matter also. The lives of the children of Kashmir matter also. The lives of the children of India also matter. Just because they are Muslims or non-Hindus, just because they are Palestinians, they are not white, does not mean you can shrug them off. Well, we don't care because they are not white. We don't care because they are not Caucasians. We don't care because they are Muslims. We don't care because they don't know how to speak our language. We don't care because they don't have a culture similar to ours. Is this what America is today? Is this what the Bidens' new communist charter of constitution is? That the lives of the white people matter only? The last time I checked, he won the elections on the basis of his anti-racist election slogans, on the basis of the fact that he supported the struggle of George Floyd, on the basis of the fact that he stood by the lives of the black people of America. But what he's doing is completely racist. He's doing the politics of hate He's instigating religious intolerance in Palestine and in India. He's responsible for the genocide of Muslim children. And no one is holding him responsible for it. No one is putting him accountable for facilitating these war crimes and these human rights violations. How can the American people let him get away with this? How can you not support the US Constitution that calls for a peaceful resolution of the Palestine conflict and the Kashmir conflict, that does not condone to violence, that does not condone to terrorism, that does not condone to indiscriminate aggression that results in the loss of lives of little children and civilians? Your constitution has been violated, broken, torn apart in a million pieces, because now this country has Biden's constitution under a new charter of communism that will allow state-sponsored terrorism against children, against civilians, just because they are not white, just because they are not non-Muslims, just because they do not speak English, just because it is convenient and profitable to do so. It invites super PACs to flood Biden with election campaign money, so children can be killed to make elections profitable for Biden. How can you let him get away with this if you still believe in the democracy of this country? I'm going to end this speech today by requesting you humbly that please kindly review whatever I have said and remind Biden that this country does not belong to just himself. This country belongs to 332 million people who are working day and night in whatever field they are working to try to contribute to a society that believes in tolerance, that believes in coexistence, that believes in religious freedom, that believes in interfaith harmony, and that does not condone to international war crimes, that does not condone to international human rights violations, and that does not discriminate lives on the basis of their color, on the basis of their race, on the basis of their nationality, on the basis of their dialect, on the basis of their culture. This is your country. Reclaim your freedom that is being hijacked by communists right now, sitting in the White House, declaring war crimes, terrorism, human rights violations as act of self-defense. Bye-bye.